Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the official Big Bang Theory podcast. I am your host, Jessica Radloff, and I am so thrilled today to be joined by someone who was not only so instrumental in season 3, but through the entirety of the Big Bang Theory's run. Her credits include shows like Young Sheldon, United States of Al, Call Me Kat, How I Met Your Mother. She started off as executive story editor in season 3 and worked her way up to Emmy-nominated executive producer by the end. Welcome, the one and only Maria Ferrari.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. I am so happy to have you on. I've been talking about you, I feel like, forever. And
I'm so happy to be here.
To get to your episodes in season 3, because you truly were so instrumental. Tell us first, how did you get your job? Did you know of somebody who knew Chuck Lorre? How did that come to be?
I did not know anybody on this show, and I already had a job that I liked quite a bit, working on the Bill Engvall show on TBS. So this opportunity came up and my agents called me and I was like, no, thank you.
So you turned it down at
first? Well, I tried to turn it down. They were not having that, to their credit. They were not having that. They were like, no, you're going to this interview. And I was like, but I'm very happy where I am. And I had heard that this was a bit of a wild place to work.
Yep.
And I don't know, I had concerns, but they were like, you're taking this interview. And I went in and I had the most magical interview of my life. It was Bill and Chuck and Steve Malaro. And we just talked about Caprica mostly. We talked about Caprica. We talked about World of Warcraft. I told a story that's been repeated often, whereby I asked my husband for an in-game present for our anniversary. I wanted a pair of Phantom Swords, which were kind of a pain to get at the time. And he got me a real-life present instead of a water bottle. And I was mad.
Wait, what kind of water bottle?
Well, it was an Nalgene, which at the time, that was the thing. I know we've iterated through a bunch of different water bottles since then. But at the time, that was the one. But I just really wanted the swords. And I spent a long time assembling a trinket for his warlock, which required a lot of like playing the auction house and a lot of like, it was a labor of love. So I felt a little bit shafted. And I think that is the story that made them feel like I was whatever the thing was that they needed on staff. So it all went great until the very end when I stood up and I said, thanks, guys, I'll see you later. And I left and I was like, oh, no.
Well, that's not terrible. I mean,
it seemed great.
Oh, my God. That's so funny. But tell our listeners and those that are watching right now, you actually had never seen an episode of The Big Bang Theory before you went in. Is that correct?
I am surprised and maybe a little upset that you know that.
Well, you said it in the book. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's probably true. Yeah, no, that is true. I had not seen an episode of The Big Bang Theory. And so I had to BitTorrent a bunch of them the night before.
Okay, I don't know what that means. What is BitTorrent?
It was a way that we used to have to illegally download shows on the internet.
Oh my!
Because it wasn't like today. You couldn't just go get them all.
Right,
it was a
this was
cave-like
2009.
time. Yeah,
just so that people know. Yeah, 2009 when you were going in for this meeting.
It was basically dial-up. So and I didn't know how to BitTorrent shows. So my husband had to BitTorrent a bunch of shows, and then we stayed up all night watching them. And I remember cluing in on the Leonard Nimoy episode.
Yes, with the napkin.
And the Sheldon and Penny relationship, and particularly when they get locked out, or she gets locked out of her apartment and she goes over to his apartment and saying that those were sort of where I thought the show lived. And that was obviously the right thing to say, that Leonard Nimoy was Malaro's brainchild. And that was a special moment for him. So I think that was the correct answer.
What made you decide you wanted this job, especially since when you were going into it, you were like, I'm very happy where I'm at. So what made you decide this was it, especially because, and the writing staff has been very open about how those first 2 seasons were not an easy place to be. There was a lot of turnover. There was a lot of figuring out what the show was, what the tone of it was. So how did you know this was something you wanted to be a part of, where you were inclined to say, see you later?
Well, my other show got canceled. So suddenly,
okay, that's helpful.
It was my best and only option. But it was a wonderful meeting. And to be honest, it was a pretty easy start.
Yeah.
I remember it being a relatively happy room, and I have really fond memories of seasons 3 and 4.
I mean, seasons 3 and 4, I was talking to Ken Miller, who's the casting director for the show, and he was saying that's when everything started to click. And I mean, it can't be said enough how instrumental you were. Also, you were the only female in the writer's room when you joined. That is not something that happens a lot of today. Thank goodness. There's a lot more females in the writer's room. We're so much better with that. But back then, that was the norm. Talk a little bit about what that was like, and how did you find your voice when you were coming into this male-dominated writer's room, really?
It was the norm. And so it wasn't particularly strange to me. Like, I had not expected anything else. And luckily, I had been in enough other rooms to know that if you didn't talk, you'd get fired.
Wow.
So that really was a strong motivator.
Yeah.
To sort of just find that, the wherewithal to insert myself into the conversation.
Yes.
And, to the guys' credit, they did not make me feel unwelcome. I never felt like I needed to censor myself in any particular way. So, good for them.
They're truly wonderful. And they said that too when they were talking to me about how it wasn't so much just having, a female writer in the room, but also just expanding these characters and having that female voice represented in a way that wasn't there before. So when you were going into season 3, was there a character pairing that you were most excited about to see develop, or just a character in general that you were excited to kind of get your hands on and start telling jokes for, start writing towards?
Well, as I said, I really love the Sheldon-Penny dynamic. And I love it because Sheldon is the only one of those 4 guys that treats Penny in exactly the same way he treats everybody else. Like, all the other guys have a lot of pressure and baggage when they think about women, and there's something about them that seems mysterious or seems unknowable. And Sheldon just isn't caught up in that.
Yeah.
And so he is completely direct with Penny the way he is completely direct with everyone. And it lets them treat each other with this kind of fraternal warmth. And I just love it. It was always a really fun space to play in.
You can't talk about season 3 without discussing episode 8, which was the adhesive duck deficiency. And it's such a fan favorite episode that even it's also a fan favorite of the cast. When I was talking to Jim Parsons, he was saying that episode, in particular, the scene we're going to watch and listen to, is one of his favorites that he still remembers the exact dialogue to. It's also one of Kunal's favorites. This was a very special episode for you too. Why is that?
Well, this was a special episode for me. Back then, we were still sort of trying to figure out how we were going to write the drafts. So there was a little bit of experimenting at the beginning of the season with assigning writers drafts, which is normal for most shows, but is not normal for Chuck's ecosystem. And I was supposed to get the 3rd episode. And then I think they felt insecure about that or something, because they never assigned me a script, and they kept saying that they were going to, and then they kept not doing it. And finally, when episode 9 rolled around, we had pretty much given up the idea of doing individual drafts. Okay. But Milaro didn't forget that I had never gotten to do one. And so he brought me into his office, and he and I remember, I don't remember how much of it we did, but I think it was either an early draft or some particular piece of the episode. But I remember it just being a really fun and easy and kind of cozy experience drafting it out with him. And it gave me a space to sort of play and feel special. And it was great. It was really fun.
To remind everyone what the adhesive duck deficiency is, it refers to those adhesive ducts that are on the floor of a shower so you don't slip. Because in this case, Penny does slip. She dislocates her shoulder. She screams for Sheldon, who did not go see the meteor shower with the rest of the guys. And of course, he's got to help her like get dressed to go to the hospital. Of course, he doesn't drive, so he's got to figure that out too. We're going to watch a clip now of what happens when they get to the hospital waiting room. This is one of my favorite scenes ever. So let's take a look. And don't forget, you can watch it all in its entirety on HBO Max.
We have to fill these out. Describe illness or injury.
I dislocated my shoulder.
All right. And how did the accident occur?
You already know that.
Cause of accident, lack of adhesive ducts. Okay, medical history. Have you ever been diagnosed with diabetes?
No.
Kidney disease?
No.
Migraines?
Getting one.
Are you currently pregnant?
No.
Are you sure? You look a bit puffy.
Change migraine to yes.
When was your last menstrual period?
Oh, next question.
I'll put in progress.
It's just so good. I mean, no wonder you almost spit out your water, and I love it. No wonder Jim Parsons still remembers the dialogue for a scene like this. Tell me everything about this, how you guys came up with it and crafting it, because, oh my God, the in progress, the getting what, like all of it, so good.
You know, I don't remember if this had actually happened at this. I feel like maybe I did. I was once pregnant and had to go to the hospital for what turned out to be a nothing. But Milaro came to visit me in the hospital to see if I was okay after the show. And I had left my bra on the back of the chair in the room, so he felt like he couldn't sit down because he didn't want to approach my bra. And like, that is the vibe I get when I watch this scene, is just like they are taking care of each other, and it is the first time they are doing that. And it is a little bit intimate and a little bit awkward, but also he's just going to do it.
Oh my God. Is that how we got the scene then before this, when Sheldon is trying to put Penny's shirt on her and he accidentally touches her boob and she's freaking out and he's freaking out and everything? Is that how that kind of came to play too?
To be honest, I do not 100% remember, but that is what it makes me think of.
Oh my God. That is so, now I need to ask Milaro about this. When he went to visit you in the hospital room, would not sit down on the chair where your bra was at. Did you call him out for it and say, like, it is okay for you?
No, I didn't find out about it until like 2 weeks later, because he was so traumatized that he had been put in this situation. And, you know, first they like wanted to make sure I was okay. And then he was like, oh my God, dude, like, leave a guy a place to sit.
Oh my gosh, that is hysterical. I love that so much. I also know that the Penny Sheldon scenes were very personal to you. You've talked to me before about how, like, especially being in high school and you didn't date a lot, and that friendship between Penny and Sheldon was one that really resonated with you. Why is that exactly?
I really valued the friendships that I made with guys, because I didn't have a boyfriend, but
Yeah.
I didn't have very many people in my life that were dudes that I had that sort of emotional connection with. And so, you know, for me, obviously it was a lot of theater guys.
Right.
But I just remember how special those relationships were and how kind of like big brother-ish they sometimes felt. And I see a lot of that in the way Penny and Sheldon relate. She's kind of the big sister, but you know, in this episode, it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's taking care of her.
Yeah. And there's another episode too where they work so well together in this season that you were a big part of, the gorilla experiment, which was, I think, 2 episodes after the adhesive duct deficiency. And in this episode, Penny is trying to understand Leonard's world a little bit better. And she goes to Sheldon for physics lessons, which you can only imagine how that turns out. So let's take a look at that clip.
Most people aren't that interested in what I do.
Actually, that's not true, Leonard. In fact, recently I've been thinking that given the parameters of your experiment, the transport of electrons through the aperture of the nanofabricated metal rings is qualitatively no different than the experiment already conducted in the Netherlands. observed phase shift in the diffusing electrons inside the metal ring already conclusively demonstrated the electric analog of the Aronoff-Bohm quantum interference effect.
I love the looks that they give to each other.
She did that without a cue card, too. I remember that was a big old mouthful.
I was going to say, I was wondering at first if this was any other actor than Kaylee Cuoco, they would have probably had a few bloopers in this, but Kaylee has an eidetic memory where it was so annoying. She just looked at a script once and had it memorized.
Yeah,
what do you
she's a
remember
pro.
watching that scene play out when they did the tape night?
I mean, I remember being literally nervous, but they cruised through it. It was not a problem.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's such a great episode. That episode also has Bernadette in it. And Melissa Rauch made her first appearance in, I think it was season 3, episode 5, the creepy candy coating corollary. I cannot say this for the life of me, especially if you try saying it fast. Help me out here. The creepy
candy coating corollary.
Thank you. Yes, that's exactly right. It was also Will Wheaton's first episode.
Yes.
That one as well. What do you remember about the discussions of bringing on this potential love interest for Howard? Because originally, as far as I'm aware, it was a very minor role that was not supposed to potentially last.
Yes, we did not anticipate how delightful she was going to be. And I think that we knew right away. I actually think the end of that episode may have been changed to have the date go well at the end.
Really?
So that she could come back. Wow. I don't remember how it was supposed to end the first time, but I think that the decision to have them bond over his mother was probably the last piece that we found for that one.
Yes. Do you think that was more of a Melissa Rauch reason that you guys wanted to bring her back, or was that just Bernadette and what you had written and thinking this could actually go somewhere?
Honestly, I think, there's always a really lovely snowball effect between an actress and a new character.
Yeah.
So it's hard to distinguish where she ends and we begin. But the way that she did not being interested in things was so much funnier than we thought it was going to be, and so much richer and bigger. And so it kind of went from being a one joke situation to being oh, this feels like a person.
Yeah.
And because she had the ability to feel like a person, then we were able to dig into that. And she developed these characteristics not having much of a sense of humor, but then really thinking that Wolowitz was funny.
Yes.
I love how much in their relationship, she really loves him. That throughout, even to when they get married, she really thinks he's sexy. She likes the way he dresses. She her vision of him is he's really on kind of a pedestal for her in some ways. And I love that about them.
I can't remember now if it's season 3 or season 4 when Howard proposes at the Cheesecake Factory with that song. And Penny is looking at Bernadette this is so unattractive and weird. And what is this guy doing? And Bernadette's this is the hottest thing a guy has ever done for me.
Yeah, I think that is just the crux of their relationship. And I really, really like that about them.
Can I ask you, when I was watching the first few episodes with Melissa as Bernadette in season 3, she's a different Bernadette than we see in later seasons. She's not as cutthroat yet. The voice gets a little bit higher. But in these early episodes, in some ways, she reminds me of Georgette from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Is that just that mousy, soft-spoken, you're not sure, there's something underneath there, but you're not sure where she's going to go. Is that something you ever thought of, or am I just crazy with my TV knowledge?
I hadn't made that specific connection, but I think that you're right on the type. Initially, I think we were just trying to imagine somebody who would give Howard nothing to play with, and then it turned out to be so much more electric than that.
Yes. Well, let's watch a clip in the gorilla experiment. It's a great scene. You particularly wanted to play this one because of the backstory and how it showed the character development. So let's watch and then we'll talk about it.
Bernadette, I need to apologize. I was wrong to tell you who you should be friends with.
Should I leave you two alone?
No, Leonard, you should hear this.
Okay, good, because I wasn't really going to go.
Look, I know I come off as confident and worldly, but the truth is, I'm not.
We're shocked.
is why I tend to feel threatened by other guys.
Poor loud noises, clowns, and nuns.
But I now realize how foolish that is.
Walk me through that scene. What do you remember from it?
So this is like shockingly self-knowing of Howard to be able to come out and say that he is threatened. This is an episode where Bernadette is taking a collegiate interest in Leonard's work, and Howard, who is in a really sort of excited to have a new girlfriend mode, gets jealous and concerned and is wishing that Bernadette would not go to visit Leonard without him. And one thing I love is the way Bernadette deals with that is to just sort of ignore him. Like, she just shows up at the experiment anyway, and then is a little chagrined to see Howard there. But also how quickly Howard figures out that he's on the wrong side of history and that he needs to course correct. And I think that it is it's interesting to me how much growth he goes through quickly.
Yes.
Once Bernadette comes into the scene. I think that all of the female characters, Amy coming up, will also have this effect of causing them to grow in different ways because they haven't had a chance yet to experience different kinds of girls. Like you talked about me being the only woman on staff, but then in season 4, we added Tara, and all of a sudden, instead of being like, oh, would a woman say this? There were 2 of us, you know, and then we had different opinions, and that was like that was different, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I always remember too, Chuck Lorre saying to me, he got the biggest kick out of the fact that, you know, my day job at Glamour, we wrote about the Big Bang Theory all the time. And Chuck just thought this was the funniest thing. Like, I can't believe Glamour cares so much about it. And it wasn't surprising to me at all, because I believe from the research that I did that by the time Big Bang went off the air, it was the most popular series among women. And that's attributed to you and the rest of the writers who really expanded this cast with the women and these stories, because the show would not have lasted 12 seasons without the additions of Bernadette and Amy. I really don't think it would have, because it opened up so many different stories and it was so relatable, not just for women, but also for guys. They loved to see how these relationships played out and then how the guys reacted to things that they had never experienced before.
Yeah, I think it is fun to kind of go through it with them for the first time. And for me, obviously, it was fun to sort of be able to see myself in the show more, because when I got there, Penny was not the character that I identified with the most. I would have probably said that I was a Leonard, you know? And so it was nice that so quickly after getting there, it was a show where I could see myself, you know, a little more clearly placed.
I can't wait to bring you back for season 4, because I really do feel like once Amy entered the picture, because she didn't enter until the season finale for season 3, but in season 4 and then in 5 and 6 too, you really got to see Penny and Bernadette and Amy together in situations that were so refreshing to see on television, whether it was like bleaching your upper lip or shaving your legs or whatever it is, like slumber parties, sleepovers. Like, thank God for these scenes, because it just normalized something that us as women go through and we see. And, you know, the guys are lovely that write on this show. They're amazing. They're very in tune with their feminine side, but I don't think they could have quite understood some of the things that us as women go through. And that's what was so fun to see it through Bernadette and Amy, especially when their characters expanded more. Also tell me too, you know, I found this so interesting, is that Bernadette, she is a big presence in season 3, but there's lots of episodes that she's actually not in. And then there's a big break, I think, between towards the end of season 3 going into season 4. How hard was that to write 4 scenes with Howard and Bernadette when you didn't know if Melissa was going to be available? Because she didn't become, I don't think, a series regular until season 4. So what was that like?
It was hard.
Yeah.
There is a little sort of piece of Scotch tape in one of these episodes where we suddenly needed to clarify that Wolowitz was not dating anybody at the time. And I think that he just says, we broke up off screen. And they're like, when were you going to tell us? And he said, when it was the right time. And that was because there was, I think there was a contract negotiation going on and it had not concluded. And, you can't rush those things. So, it's difficult to keep up with like the mundanities of what's going on off screen.
Yeah, I bet. Did that make it much more easier than in season 4 when she and Mayim became series regulars so that you knew you had them every week?
Yes. And then we can plan arcs and, do things with a lot more certainty and intention. So it's obviously much better when you know who you're going to have.
Yes. Before we play a game of firsts, I want to know, looking back at some of these season 3 episodes, what do you miss most? Just the nostalgia part of reflecting on it and knowing we were going to talk about season 3 today. What do you miss most when you think back to those days?
I miss sitting down and writing in the room with all those guys. Like, I miss how fun it was. I forgot so many of these episodes, like the Lord of the Rings one, I would have placed way later in the run of the show.
Yeah.
Because that was such an iconic one. It was so much fun and we were so comfortable together working on it. Or the Will Wheaton one.
Right.
And so I think we were just a really good, easy team. And I think that kind of the joy we took in the process comes through in the episodes. And I miss that very much.
Yeah, I can understand it. And because also too, in season 3, like the writing staff really stayed mostly the same throughout the rest of the series. We talked about how much turnover there was in the first 2, but once you came and then Tara came and Steve Holland and Jim Reynolds, like it stayed through the rest of the series. And that is a big, like that's a huge impact when you've got the same writing staff who can really work and establish these characters.
Yeah, because you get to know each other. I mean, who do you spend 70 hours a week in a room with, unless you're in prison? Not very many people.
Someone who can't look at a bra that's on a chair. That's who you spend 70 hours a week with. I can't wait to talk to him about that. That is so good.
We did a white elephant gift exchange the next year, and I wrapped that bra up. And I really tried to get Malara to pick it, and he didn't pick it. And it was a bummer. It would have been the best moment.
Wait, who got it?
Jim Reynolds. So he still has my bra.
That is amazing. Oh, we got to get Jim on to talk about this. That is so good. Oh, I'm asking Jim about this next time I see him, and then we'll save it for the podcast. Okay, so let's play a game of firsts. Don't overthink this. Okay. I want you, first thing comes to mind. If nothing comes to mind, we'll pass. We'll go on to the next one. Who was the first cast member you met?
Johnny.
First impression of him?
Very nice.
First joke you got in?
The Sheldon trains Penny. I guess that's a story, but it's also sort of a joke.
Okay, well, tell me, what was the trains her? How?
So Sheldon is operant conditioning Penny. He's throwing her treats when she does things he likes. And that was sort of my big out of the gate pitch. I started on a high note at the Big Bang Theory. It was all down from there.
Stop it. I love that. First time hearing the audience react to something you wrote.
Oh. I mean, I guess it would have been that episode 3. I rarely put together an entire sentence all by myself. This was very much a group.
You've come so far. I love it. Okay. First time you realized you were part of television history.
Oh, the Emmys probably. I mean, that was wild.
Why was it wild?
Because it's a very fancy party with famous people.
That's the best way to describe it. Yes. Okay. First storyline you would rewrite today if you had the chance.
Oh, the one where Raj takes credit for Penny's discovery on the telescope. So Boys Club. So much regret. I have rewritten it in my head 1,000 times.
Wow. That's fascinating. I love to hear that. I think you're absolutely right, but yeah.
It was a hard episode. It was a hard week. And we all knew something about it was off. And it was not until I watched it on television that I was like, shoot. That I was like, oh, he is standing up for Raj because he is also a scientist.
Right.
And this is just patriarchy. Whoops. And I felt real bad about it.
Well, I love that you can talk about it now and everything. And you know what? The great thing is, too, I'm sure Steve Milaro and the writers would probably agree with you all on that, too.
We all tried very hard. Like, we knew it wasn't feeling good. We just whiffed that one.
Yeah. Well, 24 episodes a season. Very, very hard to do. Okay. First time you stopped feeling like a new writer?
Probably co-executive producer. Took a minute.
I mean, that's really cool. What does executive story editor mean? Because that's what your first credit was for the show.
It is a title bump that means nothing from story editor, which is the second lowest rank of writer you can be.
It sounded very official. I was like, I like it. Executive story editor.
Yep.
Okay, that works for me.
That's what it's trying to do.
I love it. And then finally, first live audience reaction that shocked you.
Oh, we did a joke once where I think we were implying that Penny had made out with a married guy in high school, and the audience threw it back. Like, just, it was such a, like, giving audience that would pretty much go with everything. And the audience was like, no, she didn't. That's gross. And we were embarrassed. We were like, yeah, that is gross.
Oh, did you change it all?
Yeah, we changed it.
You did change it.
Yeah, that's not on television.
Wow. That is amazing. I'm also amazed how you just pull these out of your hat so quick. I would need time to think and sit here. So that is very, very impressive. Well, you are amazing and wonderful to have. I'm so glad that you joined the show. Thank you for everything you've done for us, for the show, the actors, the cast. And then I can't wait to have you back in season 4. You're going to also be joined by Mayim Bialik. We're going to talk about her very first episode.
Oh, so that'll be fun.
Can't wait. Thanks, Maria.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the official Big Bang Theory podcast. And don't forget, you can stream every episode of The Big Bang Theory on HBO Max, as well as watching the official Big Bang Theory podcast, also streaming on HBO Max, or you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. I appreciate you all joining us today, and I will see you next time.